Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Michael Hensley is our guest today. Michael is the president and CEO of the Blue Water Area Convention and Visitors Bureau on Michigan's Thumbcoast. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Howard, thanks so much for having me. I love that term, outdoor stewardship. It's such a great term to really embody the folks who just love the outdoors.
And I appreciate that sentiment. Thank you. And when we first started with the podcast, it was who does fishing, who does hiking and boating, but there's these resources and they're all fragile. I mean, we know how fragile things can be. Okay. And taking care of these resources, whether it's on land or in the water, are very important. So I have found that thread of conservation and stewardship it's a consistent theme, especially when we are talking to people who, as you just said, are passionate about the outdoor space. So for our listeners' benefit, and because I am a former Michigander myself, I'm going to do the official handshake of state of Michigan and say, I think I got it right. Yeah. This is where I'm from.
Yeah. Okay.
Where's
this is where we're at.
All right.
Yeah, this is where we're at.
Okay.
Michigan Thumbcoast.
Excellent. So first off, the Thumbcoast. What comprises Michigan's Thumbcoast?
Yeah. So our destination is 140 miles of coastline along Lake Clair River, and Lake Huron. And it really embodies the entire eastern lakeside coastal line that really lines the thumb of Michigan. Michigan's shaped like a mitten. So when you identify where you're at in the state, a lot of people will say, well, I'm in this area on the west lower peninsula. We tend to use the term the thumb, right? We're from the thumb. We're in the Thumbcoast. We cover about 10 communities from Clay, Algonac, Harson's Island area, all the way to the top in Port Austin and Caseville. So along that, you get places like Marine City, St. Clair, Marysville, Port Huron, Lexington, Port Sanilac, Harbor Beach, and then Port Austin and Caseville. Those are kind of the main communities, those big travel focus communities along the coastline. The cool thing about our destination is you can really do that entire trip in less than 2 hours. A little more if the traffic's a little heavy, but each one of those communities has its own personality, and the attractions and the amenities and all the stuff that goes along with that community really kind of embodies the people that live there as well. So
Okay.
think about the different communities, and I know we're an outdoor podcast, but I like to give examples of Marine City and St. Clair. They have wonderful theaters. They also have great boat launches and great opportunity for walleye fishing there. Travel north on the coast and you'll see some really great beaches, some great trails, and some really cool opportunity to experience what it's like to live like a local in each of those communities. So
Okay.
that's probably the benefit for our destination is you have a lot, but it's all different. You can experience it in a weekend or a week-long trip or even a day trip, really, if you want to single out some of those communities.
Okay. No, I truly appreciate it. And as you were kind of mentioning some of those communities, it was bringing back memories. Because I used to go from Southeast Michigan. I grew up in Oak Park. I know we went to East Tawas, which is south of you guys. But
North of us,
no,
yeah.
East Tawas is north of the Thumb?
Yep.
Oh,
East
my
Tawas,
bad.
well, middle of the first finger, or middle
Why
of the
did I
first.
think it was south? My bad then. My bad.
No, that's all right.
Um, but I remember some of these Sanilac and Harson's Island. It just brings back memories. Why do I know all this? And because we used to go up I-75 besides East Tawas, I think it was my dad's mom. So my grandmother had a cottage there. And my aunt and uncle, who are rocking it in the 90s right now, still make a trek up there at
Oh, yeah.
least once a year. We should just go up I-75 and just get up to the Upper Peninsula or to Mackinac. And I think perhaps we might have spent a time or two going on to the Thumb Coast area, but those names are there. So somewhere in the back in the vault, I know those visits were there. So that's
Yeah.
good.
I-75 is really kind of the main artery to get up and down, the lower peninsula into the upper peninsula in Michigan.
Mhm.
One of the things that we really kind of love to encourage is this trip along M29 and M25 because
Okay.
there are some absolutely gorgeous spots where you can view Lake Huron, where you can view the St. Clair River. And we're really kind of known for freighter watching. If you've
Right.
got a keen eye for freighters, St. Clair River, you're going to be able to stand at the mouth of the river and feel like you can reach out and touch some of those freighters.
Is that why I know Harson's Island?
Yeah, that's probably
That
why.
that is I remember going on a bike trip with friends to Harson's Island. I remember sitting on the bench right off the water and this big
Yep.
massive freighter goes by. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
And you don't realize how big they are until they're like right in front of you, right?
Oh yeah, it's amazing and just the sights, the sounds, and cannot beat that. But I have a question. Blue Water CVB convention, so the Blue Water Convention and Visitor Bureau.
Yeah.
For our listeners' benefit, what's the purpose of the CVB?
Yeah. So a convention visitor bureau or a destination marketing organization is
Mm,
kind of the nomenclature that we use.
right.
Our main purpose is to tell people who don't live in our destination what it has to offer. So, what are the great things you can do with your family on a vacation? What kind of meeting facilities are in the area that we can host a conference or
Mhm.
a convention at? What are the ball diamonds like? So we can have a sporting tournament in your area. The main purpose is to generate a travel economy in the area and ultimately put heads in beds and drive hotel overnight stays.
I love
So,
that saying.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of catchy, right? But the biggest thing is our job is to tell everybody who doesn't live here why this place is a great place to live, work, worship, play, and
Mhm.
learn.
Okay. Is there considered an anchor for the CVB, or because you talked about these 10 communities, I mean, each one of them being unique, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about the history and the culture. But is there an anchor community that is kind of facilitating and helping to coordinate, or are all of you just coming together? Hey, we've got these ideas. What do y'all think about it?
So I would say there's not really an anchor community. Everybody is contributing. But
Hmm.
when you think about the Thumb Coast and you think about the centric spot, we have two major highways that end in Port Huron. That's
Right.
I-69, 94. They
Hmm.
all converge at what's called the Blue Water Bridge, and
Hmm.
that is an international crossing. On the other side of the St. Clair River is Canada, right?
Right.
So we kind of tend to use Port Huron as really the focal point or the largest entry point into Michigan's Thumb Coast. And there you can turn right and head south down N29, or you can turn left and head north down M25, or vice versa if you're coming from Canada.
Hmm.
And Port Huron really is kind of the catalyst for a lot of what there is available in our destination.
Okay.
Uh, it's a great place to visit, and it's a great place to start your journey along Michigan's Thumb Coast and even do a hub and spoke. You can stay at one of the hotels here in Port Huron and kind of venture out into some of these different communities, or you can do a whole trip just on Port Huron alone. So it's
Okay.
a great opportunity.
As you're, and I'd love to chat a little bit about this. Maybe it might be, well, let's ask the question now. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later, though. Is if I work my way up, I'm 25 and I'm 25 and I'm looking at these communities, how far out back into the heart of Michigan are you offering or suggesting services or hotel stays, restaurants. Oh, you got to go check out the state park, the state forest, or this fishing on this river. How far out into the body of Michigan are you usually going?
So we kind of operate off of the county lines. So the county lines of St. Clair County. We do a little bit into Sanilac and Huron County as well. We call those our kind of interior communities, and each one of those communities has a lot to offer. When you
Mhm,
talk about like outdoor enthusiasts, what are they going to look for in those communities? There's great opportunities for hunting in a lot of those communities. There's also a lot of trails. So
mhm.
we have most kind of known is the Wadhams to Avoca Trail that kind of cuts into what we call the Bridge to Bay Trail, which is along that coastline. So, yeah, we do help and assist or promote those internal communities, especially for things like events. There's a
Mhm.
few wineries that are in the interior as well. So I would say, yeah, we kind of follow those county lines in terms of what we're promoting.
Okay. Uh, one more question about the convention part of the name of the organization. Is there an ideal size for conventions? And I'm asking this because I'm a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America. We have an annual conference once a year. We've been in Gulf Shores. We've been in um, where was it in Wyoming and Vermont. Uh, but we also have these smaller regional conferences. We call them Field Fest. It's a smaller cross section of our membership who are coming in specifically to do journalism type activities. So, is there an ideal size for folks that you see coming in to take advantage of a conference?
Yeah, I think our conference center is really great. The team at the conference center, at the Blue Water Convention Center, is a great team. They can really make a lot of stuff work. I think for us, we kind of promote that 350 to 450 person conference. That seems to be the right fit where with breakout space, sleeping rooms, things like that. So we have a lot of maneuverability on how we can set some stuff up, or the convention center really does, and we work hand in hand with them to bring in conventions all over the board here. So that's really kind of our sweet spot. 350 to 450 is what we really like to bring into the area, and that also gets people. Our convention center is right on the water, so it
Mhm,
equates them with St. Clair River and the mouth of Lake Huron,
mhm.
where we can really kind of display some of the beauty and awe that our destination has to offer. I really hate to say this, but if you're doing a conference or a convention in our convention center with a sunny day like today, the windows are nice and clear, it's gonna be hard to pay attention because your head is gonna look to that window and go, "Man, look how great that is out there." So it's a daydreamer's delight, our conference center really is, but that's just because it's so beautiful here on the coastline on St. Clair River and Lake Huron.
Oh, excellent. I've gotta hook you up with the, RFP process for our annual conferences or even our Field Fest because I think you're making a pretty good argument, and for our listeners, you'll see this. I have a beautiful day in the beach, and there's people on the beach behind me in my banner image because I love the sand, I love the water.
Yeah.
So, the history and the culture, w how is that become a part of the destination mystique, people really enjoying themselves, and I'm saying this for I know it's not as far as you guys, but making a pilgrimage to Frankenmuth, Michigan for fried chicken, okay? Or going for seafood at the Blue Water Bridge, that one I do remember because that was a highlight. What are some of the history and the culture highlights that people will experience when they start visiting the Thumb Coast?
So our destination is really known for a few different things, but the most known thing is we were a shipbuilding
Mhm.
destination, clarify that, for really the whole Great Lakes area.
Mhm.
We had a lot of manufacturers and things like that in Marine City. We're also the birthplace of pleasure boating. So Chris
Mm.
Craft, if you
Okay.
if you're a boater out there,
Oh, yeah.
Chris Craft, they originated right here in Michigan's Thumbcoast. So we have a very high nautical influence in our history. You see that in things like uh the Port Huron to Mackinac sailboat race. It's a world
Okay.
renowned. People come from all over to race in this sailboat race that goes from Port Huron, right downtown, all the way up to Mission Point and Mackinac Island.
Mhm.
And every year there's about 250 to or 150 to 250 boats, depending on the year. And they all take off from here and head along Lake Huron into Mission Point and Mackinac Island. They also do something called the Super Mac, which happens every once in a while. They'll start from Chicago, go around through Lake Michigan and through Lake Huron, stop in Port Huron, and then go back to Mackinac Island. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities to get in touch with our nautical influence. Every year at that race, the city of Port Huron hosts the Blue Water Fest. There
Mhm.
they have bands and things, just kind of welcome the racers. But it does turn into a great opportunity for residents to come down and see what, and visitors also to see what Port Huron has to offer. So there's a lot of, like I said, nautical influence in a lot of the stuff that we have. We also have a lot of lighthouses too, like
Mm.
along
Yeah.
the coastline. I think there are 8 or 9 different lighthouses that you can either walk right up and touch or see from afar because we have a few lighthouses that are out in Lake Huron. So um, yeah, a lot of nautical influence, I think, in along our coastline and in our destination, that's for sure. And you can
Okay.
see it in a lot of the stuff that the residents do. A lot of residents are boaters here. A lot of residents
Mhm.
are kayakers. A lot of residents love the freighters. I think for all of history, people have kind of been drawn to water. If
Yeah.
it's an ease for commerce or if it's a necessity for, fishing and a food source, things like that. I think everybody just kind of is drawn to the water. And I know I'm using kind of blanket statements, but in our destination, everybody who lives here has a special connection with the blue waters of the St. Clair River and Lake Huron.
No, I love that. And literally every type of writer and outdoor enthusiast that we would find as a member of our organization, the Outdoor Writers Association of America, you're going to find there's an aspect of what you all have to offer that's going to be perfect for them, except perhaps, well, they might even get downhill skiing somewhere. I'm sure there's, as you go farther north, there's snow on
Yeah.
a mountain. But I love that. Uh, Two final questions regarding the CVB, and then I would love if you would gift us with a tour of your website because I know
Yeah.
our listeners enjoy that and our viewers on YouTube enjoy that. What's the economic impact that you see tourism having in the Thumb Coast, and also the numbers of visitors, the folks that are coming across the state or up from Indiana, Ohio, across the Blue Water Bridge from Canada. Do you have a sense of what the visitor count is?
Yeah, I could sit here and I could go through numbers and X amount of visitors that are seen in this. And I think what I'd rather tell you is the impact that travel has on a destination. We
Perfect.
equate at um, a very conservative estimate at $165 per person per night
Mhm.
is generated with travel from outside of the area. It goes to things like gas stations. It goes to things like boutiques and restaurants and entertainment and hotels and small businesses, locally operated attractions, things like that. So if you really think about how a convention and visitor bureau helps drive that visitor economy and drive those dollars into the local economy, I think you can equate that's money that a resident would have to spend on a daily basis in order to keep the same quality of life that they have without the visit.
Mhm.
So our impact to the travel economy and through the travel sector, you're not going to go to a boutique every single day as a resident in your community, right? And
Mhm.
if you do, Howard, I would encourage it. Go small, shop small, right?
Mhm.
But boutiques and restaurants and entertainment centers and attractions, they all need those visitors from outside of town to be able to provide that service for residents as well. So
Sure.
I think the big picture here is not how many people or what the visitor count is every day. I think the big picture is we need people to see our community who don't live here. And
Right.
maybe they end up buying a second home here, or maybe they end up moving into the community, or maybe they start a business in our community, or open up a factory, or do something to contribute back to that local economy. But it all starts with a visit. If you build a
Mhm.
place where people want to visit, you're going to build a place where they're going to want to live. From there, you'll build a place where businesses must be and where local investment has to happen. There, you'll build a place where businesses want to invest into their community. And from there, you'll build a place where people want to visit. And it goes round and round and round, but it all starts with a visit.
I love
So
it.
the term of where our importance lies, I don't think it lies in drawing millions of people into our destination that we do. I think it lies in starting that idea that we can be a catalyst for somebody who doesn't live here to come and move here, invest here, open a factory, and ultimately contribute back to this local
I love it. I love it. I appreciate that. The miracle of technology. I'm going to share my screen because I would love
Okay.
if you would again gift us with a tour of the website. This is something, folks, I'm very proud of as a Michigan guy. I spent half my life, a little more than half my life in Michigan, then Chicago. By the way, I did see many starts of the Chicago to Mackinac race,
Okay.
and I know folks that continued on that leg, by the way.
Yeah.
So let me just go ahead and share the screen. There you are. All right. So, Michael, you should be seeing the screen right now.
Yep.
All right. I love
Light up.
I love this is like this is my kind of picture right here.
Yep.
So
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 it's a Canadian icebreaker moving through, uh, because at I'm assuming at the time that picture was taken, the, uh, the channel was still pretty, frequently traveled. As much as we would love to, let the ice go through, commerce still needs to happen, so freighters still need to move through there and things like that.
okay. So where should we go?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have you click those 3 lines on the top left there.
All right.
Absolutely. What I'd like to do is, take you to the recreation tab. Go ahead and
All
hover
right.
over that.
Okay.
Why don't you give that a click? Yeah.
All
So
right.
out there we have all sorts of different, opportunities for what you can see, what you can do on Michigan's Thumb Coast. Hiking and biking is a big thing. We are also really known for our kayak trails. St. John's Marsh in Clay and Algonac and Harson's Island is a great opportunity to see one of the largest marshes in the state. One of the things that we're kind of proud of is something called the Blue Ways of St. Clair. It's
Mhm.
a website that basically gives you all sorts of different um, uh, trails and things to do on a kayak. I'm getting a little off topic here, but yeah, there's all sorts of opportunity there. If you scroll down, yep, we
Whoa.
can figure out what you're looking for. So if you're looking for fishing or land trails or water trails, you go ahead and click. Why don't you click one you're going to look for, Howard, and I'll
Okay.
walk you.
I'm a water trail guy.
All right, excellent.
By the way, I do love lighthouses. I interviewed a woman a couple times, Eleanor Dwyer, who's like this global lighthouse expert. And I'm sure I could then bring her on and say, Eleanor, tell me about all the lighthouses
Mhm.
in the Thumb Coast area. I love it. All right, so we got
You-
water trails.
Yep, go ahead and scroll down, and there you can kind of search by the area that you're going to be at. Um,
Okay.
why don't you hit Port Austin?
Port Austin. I recognize St. Clair. All right. Port Austin. All
Yep.
right.
And go ahead and hit search.
All right.
All right.
Excellent. Let's
Scroll
see what we
down.
got. I-
Yep. So we've got there's really a good map of our destination. The very tip where it says two up at the top, that's the Port Austin area. Go ahead
Okay.
and click that. Yep. So now we've got two different locations where you can maybe take a kayaking excursion. So go ahead and scroll down.
Okay. I follow directions pretty well
Yeah.
sometimes.
So there's
Okay.
the Broken Rock Water Trail.
Okay.
That's a little 4 mile excursion. It's very simple. I would say it's kind of a beginner's uh, level. If
That's
you
my level.
if you scroll down, you got the Turnip Rock Water Trail. So that's more
Oh,
of
wow.
an experienced one. But look at the view of that rock. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a masterpiece, really. It
Yeah.
shows some really great uh, views there as well along Lake Huron. So those are kind of different water trails that you can experience in our destination. If you go back
Excellent.
up to the top there,
Okay.
let's go back to that refined search page
Okay.
there. Hit the water trails caret.
Okay.
And let's look at hiking, biking, and birding trails.
Birding. Now there's another pastime because I love taking my camera and taking photos of birds.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm gonna have you hit all.
Okay. Hit search.
So we are very popular in the birding realm. We see a
Okay.
lot of migratory birds come through our destination, but we
Sure.
also have a lot of nature preserves and things like that that really kind of are a catalyst for
Oh, wow.
birders. Um, it's
Birding.
really a great spot if you're looking to check some species off of your list. The Blue Water River Walk is a great opportunity to see a lot of birds and things that, especially in the migratory season. And then the Port Austin area and the Sand Point Nature Preserve specifically is something you're going to want to check out if you're a birder because they take great pride in being able to attract a lot of species and things like that
Okay.
in the birding realm.
Okay. Now
But
do we
on this
pass?
is a list of all of our trails and trailheads and things like that that you're going to be able to see as a hiker or a biker
Okay.
or cyclist, I think is the correct nomenclature. Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, there's that. I love the photo there of the just sitting watching the freighters go by.
Yeah, and
Love that.
people come from all over to see the high traffic of freighters we have.
Yeah.
And we have you hit the top 3, the 3 lines on the top left there again, Howard.
All right. By the way, I am going to ask you about a few of your go-to places to eat, and if you, I don't know if you drink, do you drink coffee?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so when I visit a destination, I want good home cooked food, and I
Oh,
want a good coffee shop.
you're gonna make me pick, aren't you?
Well, just yeah, we want a couple foodie backlinks in the show notes.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
where should we
so
go next?
I'm gonna take you to, why don't you go to Stay
Okay, stay
up
a
in the
little bit
top.
longer.
Yep.
Okay,
So there
walk.
you've got options for all sorts of different, hotels and motels, cottages, B&Bs, campgrounds, things like that. But the biggest thing I think a lot of folks look for is a waterfront hotel. So if you hit
Okay,
that, we've got
okay,
options. If you scroll down, go right ahead, keep going.
okay.
There are all of our waterfront hotels that you can
Oh
kinda
wow.
go and see where you want to go. Yes, City Flats is a unique property. They are an old bank that was converted into an event center and hotel. So
Okay.
they are a beautiful little building there.
I have to share this. It's a little off target, but I interviewed Jeff Gray, who at the time, I think he still is the superintendent of the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary,
Mm.
and in Alpena. And my sister's husband, my brother-in-law is from Alpena. And I kind of casually mentioned that his family worked in the paper mill that was there. And Jeff says on the interview, well, the National Marine Sanctuary took over the mill.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
which I thought, oh, that's really hitting close to home there. And so when I see like this hotel here, a former bank, and I'm sure there's some cool history there in some of those rooms, and
Yeah, they actually have the old vault that you can go and hang
yeah.
out and have a drink in, so it's
Oh,
kind of
very cool.
uh, Howard, I think, the rest, if you hit those top 3 lines again,
Okay,
there's all sorts of different stuff there. Why don't you go to articles?
okay. And by the way, I just noticed you have ADA here, which is very important, much like
Yeah.
stewardship, access is important as well. That's
We wanna make sure that no matter any type of barrier that you may have, you are welcome here in our destination.
excellent. Okay,
So we have these are really where you're going to see the embodiment of what we have to offer is under these articles.
okay.
Things to do that are free, things to do New Year's Eve in the holiday season, things like that. But really, this is the great thing about our website is these blogs are updated and they really give a great synopsis of things to do year round. Look at that picture. That's a shipwreck in Harbor Beach that you're able to kayak out to
Wow.
and and kind of see for yourself. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of where the meat and potatoes of our website lies is some of these blogs and articles and things like that. So I'd encourage anybody who is planning a trip to Michigan's Thumb Coast, go on this website, visit bluewater.org, read some of these articles, and I really think you're going to understand what our destination is all about.
I love it. I love it. My a it's my own personal running joke, and any of my guests could like, "What is he talking about?" But I'm always thinking about when I'm interviewing, where's my next place to live? Because I mean, I live in Las Vegas. I love the desert. I'm not much of a Las Vegas Strip kind of guy. And we work with Boulder City and their podcast, and but I'm always looking for my next place to live, and the fact that I've lived in Michigan, this whole area of Michigan from the Thumb Coast all the way up to, say, Alpena is just like, "Huh."
Yeah.
That I am reminded, by the way, of I'm gonna be cold again, okay? But
Well,
there's so much to offer here. It's 4 seasons.
Howard, that's one of the cool things about our destination is the cold and the snow. It doesn't present a barrier for travelers. It just presents new opportunity. Like
Right.
fat tire biking, we can see in this picture right here. There's a lot of opportunity for that in our region. If you're an ice fisherman
Mhm.
or fisherwoman, you could. There's a lot of harbors and things like that that freeze over that provide really great opportunity for ice fishing. Cross country skiing. We have a few trails with that as well. So I would encourage folks not to get deterred by the cold, but to
Okay.
embrace it, to figure out what else can I see in a destination in the wintertime that is I can come back in 6 months and it's gonna look totally different.
I love it. I love it. So, before we leave the website, I'm gonna put you back on the spot there, my friend.
Yeah.
Um, let's imagine you've got some friends you haven't seen in 15 years. That's how I describe my podcast.
Okay.
It's like having an adult beverage with a friend you haven't seen. If some friends come in, where are you gonna take take them for breakfast?
For breakfast, oh, man. Well, to be honest, I think we are blessed with a lot of mom and pop diners along the
Okay.
coast,
So
and I may be a little partial, but I love just the old fashioned bacon and eggs and
oh,
white
yeah.
toast and hash browns. And I think there's a handful of diners that I wouldn't go wrong with.
Okay.
But I think really Chef Shell's in Port Huron is a great breakfast spot. So is Maria's.
Okay.
Daybreak Cafe is another diner that you're gonna the greasy spoon spots. That's really what I like, and there's an abundance of them.
I am a greasy spoon kinda guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, excellent.
So
Well,
those are kind of some of the breakfast spots that I frequent. If
okay.
you're looking for a coffee shop vibe, we've got a lot of those too.
Okay.
Uh, I would say we have places like Exquisite Corpse Coffee
Mhm.
Shop and Electric Coffee Shop in Port Huron, and then you've got the Lexington Coffee Shop up there. One of the places that stands out the most, not because of what it has to offer in coffee, although they do a great job, but there's something called the Raven, and this is an Edgar Allan Poe themed
Okay.
coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
And if you wanna be transported into kind of that mid-century gothic, almost edgy coffee shop, this place is the place to be. They've got great food, they got great coffee, and the ambiance and environment there is just it's just a cool spot.
That is very cool. When I
Yeah.
make it up to Port Huron, and I'm making a commitment now, I will get up there. I mean, these are the types of places I love to hang out. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and you'll be able to spend hours in there just because it's so unique.
Okay. Very good. How about a dinner? Let's just do one more. Let's just
Dinner.
be curious. How about dinner?
Well, to be honest, I think what I would take my friends, Howard, I'm gonna divert you back to those 3 lines at the top left there.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you hover or hit the carrot there. I'm gonna take you down to beer, wine, and spirits.
I love it. Adult beverages.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
And then I'm
right.
gonna have you click that wet your whistle challenge up just above that refined search. Yep, right there.
Okay.
So this is kind of our
Oh, wow.
brew winery tour that we have
Okay.
available. Um, and what you can do is if you hit a certain amount of these places in Michigan's Thumb Coast over the course
Mhm.
of a year, you can send your paperwork to us and win a free overnight stay.
Nice.
So you'll find places that are speakeasies, and you'll find wineries and breweries that all have really great food. If I had friends in town that I haven't seen in 15 years, I would sit them down and say, "Where do you what guys want to go on this list?"
I love
And
it.
see if we can hit all of them.
Yeah. I love this logo too, by the way. That is
Yeah,
very cool. Very
yeah,
good. Very good. Well, thank you again for taking us on a tour. I am see now we can say where we were at. Let me go there.
yep,
This is me by Detroit, and this is you up here. This is wonderful.
yeah.
I have to get home for a visit. My cousin is getting married in May, and I'm thinking, am I going home? I'm thinking now. I think I'm going home because I'm gonna be calling you. Say I'm coming up.
Howard, I'd love to have you, and we can knock off some of these things on the Wet Your Whistle tour together. How about?
I love it. I love it. Well, this was great. Now, before we head out, I am curious a couple things. How long have you been in this business of overseeing a convention and visitor bureau? Because I seem to recall this is not your first rodeo. You've been in this industry for a little while.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. Um, I've been here at the Blue Water area in Michigan's Thumb Coast for a little over 14 months.
Okay.
And, well, actually, it's more like 16 months now. Time flies. But
Time.
before that, I was in an area called the Great Lakes Bay region, and that's
Okay.
Frankenmuth, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, Bertrand,
Okay.
Chesaning. Those are the main communities over there. I was doing the marketing for that destination. And then I had some family ties here. I grew up along Michigan's Thumb Coast. I had grandparents that cousins and everybody. So I spent a lot of summers and things like that up here. When this position became available, I said, gotta, I gotta go back. I gotta go back. So yeah, I've been in the industry for about 8 years and
Mm.
been here for a little over little 16 months or so, and really enjoying doing the work here at this destination. I think the views, the people, the communities along this coastline are really something special. So I'm very happy, very excited, very blessed with the opportunity to be able to promote that.
Fantastic. Well, you've done a great job, and you've made this very enjoyable podcast recording, and it's going to be a great episode for our listeners. And I really am like, okay, now I really am feeling the pull about getting back home. Now,
Howard, we'd love to have you back.
I love it. I love it. Besides our website, bluewater.org, where else should our listeners go to learn more about you and the work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're on all the social media platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, places like that. So just search Discover the Blue, Michigan's Thumb Coast. We're going to be all over those platforms. That's kind of the best place to stay up to date as well on events and things happening in the area. And then we've got user generated content that folks are sending us while they're in the destination in real time, so you'll be able to see what's happening there. So, yeah, I think in terms of where to find us, our website is the best spot. Our social media is second best, but we also have a visitor center here in Port Huron. It's open Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. And if you'd like, you can call that phone number 810-878687. Somebody will pick up the phone and help you navigate our destination and help you plan your next trip or convention or sporting event or anything you got going on.
I love it. I love it. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, and thank you. I mean, your energy and love for what you're doing and for this area comes across on screen. I think our listeners will see that on YouTube. They're going to definitely hear it on the episode as well. And again, this episode, it does tug a little bit at the heartstrings because I know I need to go back home for a visit. But thank you again for spending time with us today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Howard. I love what you're doing, getting the outdoors out there and really hitting home for a lot of folks too. So, like I said, anytime you want to come on over or come on up, we'd love to have you. Just let me know.
I love it. Thank you so much. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a very quick close and you and I can have a final chat. Okay. All right, folks. Well, I don't know if you appreciate it as much as I do, but I got to get home to Michigan because there's 140 some miles of coastline I haven't visited in quite a while. And when you see some of the photos that are on their website and the ones that Michael has shared, I'm thinking it's bringing back lots of memories and just really just a phenomenal area. And as Michael had shared, whatever your interest is in the outdoor space, if it's being out on the water, near the water, or further inland, I mean, there's just lots of opportunities to really tip your toe into whatever outdoor adventure excites you. Now, do go out to the website, bluewater.org, and you can learn everything you need to know about Michigan's Thumb Coast. And there's tools out there to help you plan your adventure. And of course, there's the social sites, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, etc. We're going to have all the backlinks on our show notes, as well as some photos that Michael has shared with us. As for us, you can find this episode on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We are also on Facebook and LinkedIn, our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The video of this episode, which includes Michael's taking us on a tour of their website, will be up on YouTube. And of course, you can listen to this episode perhaps when you're leaving home and making your travel up to Michigan's Thumb Coast. You can listen to this podcast episode and all of our other travel podcast episodes as well. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a phenomenal day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.